When was the last time you heard a child say, "I'll be home when the streetlights come on"? There was a time, not too far behind us, when those words were more than just a casual statement. They were a promise. A rhythm. A freedom. Back then, childhood was lived outdoors, not online. Our adventures took place in dirt fields, not digital landscapes. We scraped our knees, not screens. Today, if you ask a 10-year-old where their favorite place is, you might hear Minecraft instead of the woods behind Grandpa's house. Children spend more time with tablets than with trees. And the question is, what are they gaining, and what have we lost? This isn't an anti-technology rant. Far from it. Technology has given us wonders. But there's something to be said, something urgent to be said, about what it meant to grow up in a world where play wasn't programmed and imagination didn't come with a charging cable. In this episode, we're going to dive into the lived experience of childhood, then and now. We'll explore what childhood looked like before screens became our companions. We'll remember the real social networks, neighborhood bike gangs, treehouse clubs, flashlight tag, and handwritten notes passed in school. We'll then look at how today's children interact with the world, and ask whether a touch screen can ever replace the touch of dirt, the feel of wind, or the sound of a real friend's laughter. Let's take a walk back to a time when fun came without Wi-Fi. Let's rewind to the 1950s through the 1980s, what many call the golden age of childhood freedom. Back then, after school wasn't for homework apps. It was for racing the daylight. We ran outside with a popsicle in hand, maybe a slingshot in our back pocket, and a wild idea about digging to China behind the garage. Children played. Not engaged in educational digital play. We played. We built forts with scrap wood. We turned sticks into swords. We created kingdoms, armies, and stories, all without a screen. The average kid knew every tree, crack, and hiding spot within a 10-block radius. We made up games. We settled arguments without adult mediation or comment sections. Mothers might have peeked out the kitchen window occasionally, but mostly, we were trusted. We learned risk. We learned consequences. We learned empathy face-to-face, not through online awareness campaigns. Social development was natural. We weren't isolated avatars. We had to navigate friendships with real-time reactions. If you hurt someone's feelings, you saw it on their face. And that mattered. Now, why has this knowledge faded? Several factors. First, safety fears. The world today feels more dangerous, though statistically it may not be. Media sensationalism painted the outdoors as a threat. We replaced the unknown with the controlled. Second, time. Parents today are stretched thin. 2 working parents is the norm. Screens are the easiest, quietest babysitter. Third, the evolution of entertainment. Television gave way to on-demand content, which became mobile, which became interactive. Children today are born into a dopamine-rich environment that moves fast and rarely pauses. Lastly, societal shift. In a world that prizes productivity and digital fluency, outdoor exploration seems quaint. But we must ask, what did that quaintness give us that screens never can? I remember the summer of 1971 like it happened last week. We were a pack of 6 kids, ages 7 to 11, all living on Elm Street in a sleepy corner of Ohio. No fences separated our yards. Just open grass and muddy patches where we tried, and failed, to grow vegetables. Every morning after breakfast, we'd meet by the fire hydrant. It wasn't planned. It just was. We'd ride our bikes to the creek, a thin, muddy thing lined with cattails and tadpoles. We built a dam one afternoon using only rocks and our bare hands. It took 6 hours. The water never actually stopped, but we felt like engineers. One day, we found a turtle and decided to make it our club mascot. We named him Stanley and built a cardboard house in a hollowed-out stump. Stanley lived there for 3 weeks before we realized turtles don't eat peanut butter sandwiches. Lunch meant running inside for a sandwich, yelling "be right back," before sprinting out the door again. No texts. No tracking apps. Just trust. At dusk, the streetlights would flicker on. Like clockwork, our little troop would disband, racing home with sweat-streaked faces and scraped elbows. My mother always had lemonade waiting. And when I flopped onto the porch steps, exhausted but happy, she'd ask, "What did you do today?" "Everything," I'd say. And I meant it. That summer, we learned more about nature, leadership, failure, and friendship than any app could ever teach.
Today's children are growing up in an entirely different ecosystem. By age 3, many have mastered the art of swiping. By age 6, they've got a digital footprint. And by 10, many have spent more hours on screens than in outdoor play across their entire lives. It's not just quantity, it's quality. Modern childhood is increasingly passive. Games are designed to reward rapid reaction, not deep thought. Shows autoplay endlessly. Apps provide instant gratification with minimal effort. This has serious effects. Attention spans are shrinking. Obesity rates are climbing. Emotional resilience is weakening. Children are interacting more, but through screens. That means less eye contact, fewer spontaneous conversations, and a shallower grasp of nuance. Of course, it's not all doom and gloom. Screens can be educational. They can connect distant relatives. And some games teach real-world skills. But the key is balance, and that balance is off. Why does this matter? Because play is how children learn. Real play. Physical play. Social play. Unstructured, unpredictable, messy play. In a screen-filled world, children miss the risk-taking that builds courage. They miss the boredom that births creativity. They miss the dirt under their nails, the sting of failure, the joy of discovery. Parents today feel stuck. Letting a child wander outside a lawn feels reckless. But locking them indoors with a screen feels wrong, too. There's no simple solution. But there is a starting point: awareness. Intention. Turning off the TV and handing them a stick. Walking to the park instead of scrolling in silence. The next generation deserves both tech and trees. So, what have we really compared here? Not just two childhoods, but two philosophies. One says, let them explore, fall, get dirty, and grow. The other says, let them stay safe, entertained, and connected. Both mean well. But the first teaches courage. The second teaches caution. Childhood isn't meant to be optimized. It's meant to be lived. And while we can't recreate the past, we can bring pieces of it forward. Take your grandchild outside. Show them a tree and make up a story. Turn a cardboard box into a rocket ship. Watch how quickly they remember how to play. Because here's the truth. Screens will always be there. But childhood won't. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you remember about growing up without screens? What would you want today's children to experience before they grow up? Leave a comment. Share a memory. Let's keep the past alive, not out of nostalgia, but out of wisdom. And maybe, just maybe, the next generation will look up from their tablets and start digging the China again.